The United States Department of Justice recently completed its final document release under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They uploaded over 300 gigabytes of data, containing more than 6 million pages of legal filings, internal emails, and thousands of hours of video. This archive details the multi-decade criminal enterprise operated by the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But here is the contradiction at the center of this data dump. Despite possessing over 6 million pages of evidence, federal prosecutors have stated they are not filing any new cases against Epstein's alleged co-conspirators. The official reason given is a lack of actionable evidence. This legal filing from a civil complaint brought by Virginia Giuffre serves as a primary forensic blueprint. The text outlines a highly organized operation, noting Epstein abused more than 30 minor girls and worked in concert with paid employees. These 6 million pagers now serve as a public accounting of the network's activities. The archive documents the evidence collected over 2 decades, released only after the Department of Justice confirmed it would not seek further criminal charges against the individuals named within. To understand how the network avoided detection, we have to look at where it operated. The abuses frequently took place at highly secure, remote private properties, like the Little St. James Estate in the U.S. Virgin Islands, keeping the activity far outside the reach of conventional law enforcement. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of the recruitment pipeline. Inside these properties, the operation functioned as a sexualized pyramid scheme, where early victims were offered referral fees, sometimes up to $400, to bring in other girls. Keeping this pipeline flowing required administrative oversight. Prosecutors identified 4 women: Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, Adriana Ross, and Nadia Marcinkova, as the core 4 unindicted co-conspirators, whose daily roles allegedly involved managing the schedules and travel of these underage girls. Above them sat the chief operations manager. British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell served as Epstein's primary recruiter and accomplice, a role that eventually led to her 2021 conviction for child sex trafficking. By default, layers of psychological and legal deniability, this structure allowed the trafficking operation to scale up and run continuously for decades. Funding a sprawling international operation required immense capital. Epstein, a college dropout, built his wealth almost entirely through a relationship with billionaire retail magnate Les Wexner. In 1991, Wexner gave Epstein full power of attorney, granting him total control over his vast personal finances. The scale of the financial anomalies is significant. Following Epstein's arrest, banks filed suspicious activity reports, detailing roughly $1 billion in transactions involving Epstein and his associates. Suspicious activity reports, or SARs, are documents that financial institutions must file with the government whenever they observe signs of potential money laundering or fraud. This visualization shows Epstein at the center of several isolated silos. By compartmentalizing his relationships across finance, science, and politics, he ensured that no single associate could see the full scope of his criminal operation. He then directed millions of dollars in donations to elite academic institutions like Harvard and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. These philanthropic gifts effectively bought a shield of respectability, making it socially and professionally difficult for academics to scrutinize his underlying conduct. This curated academic and philanthropic image provided him with high-profile social access, allowing him to cultivate direct relationships with global political leaders, including former U.S. presidents. Epstein's true strategy relied on weaponizing the trust inherent in elite institutions. By surrounding himself with the trappings of wealth, science, and political power, he made his criminal conduct seem socially unthinkable to those on the outside. The protection afforded by this network caused a cascade of systemic failures. An early complaint made to the FBI about child pornography in 1996 was ignored. 12 years later, federal prosecutors in Florida bypassed a wider sex trafficking indictment, granting Epstein a highly criticized non-prosecution agreement that shielded his co-conspirators. When federal authorities finally arrested him again in 2019, the case ended abruptly with Epstein's death in his New York prison cell. With the primary defendant gone, the millions of pages of accumulated evidence became the only remaining path to full disclosure. The release of this archive stands as a victory for investigative journalism and relentless truth-seeking. Reporters spent years tracking down victims, analyzing redacted court documents, and forcing authorities to reopen a closed investigation. But the core of this effort was driven by the survivors. Women who were trafficked as teenagers used civil litigation to bypass government secrecy, steadily stripping away the redactions that kept Epstein's enablers hidden. These 6 million pages document how wealth and elite social connections were used to build a fortress of impunity. While the files arrived too late for new criminal trials, their release ensures the mechanics of this network are finally a matter of public record.